So, before we get to the whole galactic extinction via cosmic salad shooter part, let's roll call the main four weirdos who somehow became New York's favorite science experiment. First up, we got Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, though honestly, the Mr. is doing most of the heavy lifting. This guy's a human rubber band with the emotional range of a calculator. He's smart, sure, the type of smart that gets you cosmic radiation poisoning on a honeymoon space mission, and still insists it was a controlled experiment. Then there's Sue Storm, aka the Invisible Woman, Reed's wife, emotional support force field, and the only reason this team hasn't been vaporized by their own incompetence yet. She can go invisible, block missiles with her mind, and apparently tolerate being married to a man who'd rather calibrate a particle stabilizer than attend a baby ultrasound. Johnny Storm, Sue's little brother, is the Human Torch. And yes, he's exactly as annoying as that name suggests. Set himself on fire once and just kept going. Thinks flying around shirtless makes him a superhero. Would absolutely risk Earth for a pretty face and a cool exit line. If there's a dumb idea with flames on it, Johnny's already doing donuts in the sky with it. And last but definitely, the most brick-to-the-face literal, Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. Imagine your grumpy uncle got dipped in cement, left out in the sun, and came back with super strength and abandonment issues. That's Ben. Together, these four geniuses give or take Johnny survived space radiation, alien encounters, and 100 team meetings where Reed explained things no one asked about. On Earth, 828, Reed and Sue are getting ready when she finally says it. After 2 years of trying, she's pregnant. Reed lights up, freezes, then starts calculating everything that could go genetically sideways. Sue reassures him, whatever the baby turns out to be, they'll handle it. They always do. Hopefully with fewer explosions. Meanwhile, the Ted Gilbert Show runs a greatest hits recap. 4 scientists fly too close to the sun, get bathed in cosmic radiation, and come back with the powers of a carnival act gone right. Reed stretches, Sue vanishes, Johnny bursts into flames, Ben becomes a boulder with feelings. New York falls in love with them, because of course it does. They stop monsters. They stop Mole Man, who pops up from the dirt like an angry gopher with a god complex. Instead of knocking his teeth out, Sue sits him down and negotiates a treaty. It works. Nobody knows how. Back at the Baxter home, Johnny and Ben are in the kitchen, throwing ingredients into something vaguely edible. Ben sets the table. Johnny critiques it with fire. Reed and Sue walk in, suspiciously quiet. Johnny calls them out. Ben looks at Sue once and figures it out before anyone says a word. He asks if she is pregnant. The Fantastic Four is growing. The celebration begins, joined by their loyal robot assistant, Herbie, who is probably already calculating how to baby-proof a lab full of unstable prototypes. In the following months, Ben and Herbie take it upon themselves to baby-proof the Baxter building, which is no small task when half the furniture can explode. Meanwhile, Reed becomes completely absorbed in designing a specialized pod to replace a crib. According to him, it's safer, smarter, and better suited to whatever unpredictable abilities the baby might inherit. Sue takes maternity leave, which immediately becomes newsworthy. Reports start circulating about the upcoming child, with everyone wondering whether it will turn out invisible, combustible, or something entirely new. While the public speculates, Reed continues refining his teleportation device, quietly preparing for whatever disaster might show up next. At work one day, Johnny storms into Reed's lab with opinions, which is never a good sign. Reed insists the latest designs aren't ready, but Johnny pulls out a copy and reveals he knows they've been complete for some time. Reed shrugs him off, claiming he's busy, which is how he handles most inconvenient truths. He then hands Johnny a disc containing a new transmission and goes back to testing the teleportation device. It works for a few seconds before shorting out the power. Johnny naturally turns into fire and blazes a path to the exit. Back at home, he listens to the transmission on his own. Elsewhere, Ben finds himself surrounded by a group of schoolchildren asking for a demonstration. He obliges by lifting a car over his head, earning applause and wide-eyed stares. Their teacher, Rachel Rosman, thanks him, and Ben is immediately smitten. She invites him to visit again sometime, and he agrees, possibly forgetting he's covered in bricks. Later that day, Johnny and Ben are back at home roughhousing while making dinner. Sue's due date is approaching, and the team is on edge. A police siren echoes outside, prompting Reed to mention that he's been tracking a criminal organization. He brings the team out onto the balcony and explains further, but they don't get far. Without warning, a massive storm forms over Times Square. The sky splits open, and a silver figure appears. The team boards the Fantasticar and heads straight into it. Waiting for them is a mysterious being who introduces herself as the Silver Surfer. She delivers a calm but chilling warning. Earth has been marked for destruction. Galactus, her master, is coming to consume the planet. She advises them to hold on to their loved ones. Then she disappears into the clouds. Johnny, doing what Johnny does, ignites and takes off after her. He chases her past the atmosphere, but she speaks in a language he can't understand, then sends him hurtling back to Earth with a single gesture. At headquarters, Reed begins analyzing the trail she left behind and discovers signs of multiple destroyed planets. Johnny shares what happened and says she did speak to him, though he didn't understand the words. He describes her presence as kind, almost gentle. Given Johnny's lifelong love of space and beautiful strangers, no one is surprised. Recognizing the threat, the team begins preparing. Their suits are ready, the media catches wind of it, and soon the Fantastic Four makes a public pledge to face the danger head-on. Cameras follow them as they launch into space, aiming to confront Galactus before it is too late. They arrive near a planet already collapsing under Galactus's power. Before they can react, their ship is caught in a tractor beam and pulled into his massive vessel. Reed tries to override it but finds it impossible. Whatever this is, they are now fully inside it. Inside Galactus's enormous ship, the Silver Surfer appears once again. She tells the team that Galactus will see them now, which feels less like a cosmic threat and more like an awkward board meeting. As they walk, the team asks what Galactus actually wants. The Surfer answers without hesitation. Galactus does not want. He eats. Straight to the point and not particularly reassuring. She explains her role in all this. Her job is to select which planets are sacrificed to sustain him, which is just as grim as it sounds. Turning to Johnny, she reveals what she meant earlier. The phrase she spoke was not a threat, but a warning. Die with yours. A message meant for all of Earth. They are brought before Galactus, a massive cosmic presence that makes even Reed feel small. Reed pleads for Earth's survival, trying to appeal to reason. Galactus seems to listen, but then shifts his attention to Sue, more specifically to the child she is carrying. He senses something strange, a potential power source strong enough to satisfy his hunger. He makes an offer. Earth will be spared, but only if they surrender the baby. Reed tries to explain that the child is normal. He has tested everything. Galactus calmly disagrees, stating that the baby is hiding its abilities. Refusing to hand him over, the team tries to escape. The Surfer follows as they race back to the ship. A short fight breaks out, but Ben manages to start the launch sequence. The Surfer reaches the ship and nearly touches Sue before the new teleportation system activates and pulls them away. She continues pursuing them, but they manage to evade her. Mid-flight, Sue goes into labor. Reed reacts quickly, activating a time dilation trap that slows the surrounding space. This gives them enough time to return safely. Sue gives birth to a boy, and they name him Franklin. Back on Earth, the team holds a press conference. Reed steps up and tells the world everything. Galactus is still out there. The team was given a choice. They chose their child. The reaction is swift and divided. Some see them as selfish. Others simply feel betrayed. Meanwhile, the Surfer asks Galactus for his forgiveness for failing him. She urges him to change his path. He ignores her. His focus is fixed on the child. She returns to him and apologizes for her failure. Galactus remains determined. To him, the baby represents the end of his hunger. At headquarters, Reed searches for solutions. He explains his theories, but most of it sounds like static to the others. Johnny takes a different approach. He goes through old mission records and manages to translate more of the Surfer's language. Public anger grows. News headlines turn hostile. Crowds gather near the Baxter building. Reed begins to consider surrendering the child. Sue refuses, and the disagreement becomes personal. They argue, not just as teammates, but as parents. Eventually, Sue speaks directly to the public. She makes it clear she will not give up her child, but she also promises that the Fantastic Four will continue to fight for humanity. Her honesty does not fix everything, but it softens some of the backlash. Around this time, Reed introduces a radical new idea. If Galactus cannot be stopped, then the Earth must escape. The solution is to teleport the entire planet into a parallel universe. Construction begins immediately. Teleportation towers rise across every continent. In an unusual show of global unity, the world gets it done. When the towers are completed, the planet prepares for the jump. That is when the Silver Surfer returns. She begins destroying the towers, moving quickly from one to the next. As she approaches the final structure in Times Square, Johnny intercepts her. He speaks to her, using the language she once used with him. Then he says her name, Shala Bal. She stops. Johnny tells her he knows who she is and where she comes from. Once a mother herself, Shala Bal had offered her life to Galactus in exchange for her daughter's survival and the safety of her home world. As Johnny speaks her name and reminds her of what she lost, the memories surface. The weight of it pulls her back, and for the first time since her transformation, she retreats. With time running out, Reed turns to a desperate plan. He suggests using Franklin as bait to lure Galactus, then forcing him through a portal into the void. No one agrees with the idea. Sue storms out, furious at the thought, and Reed follows. After a quiet moment between them, she returns. She understands the risk, but she also understands what's at stake. She agrees. To prepare, the team makes a deal with Mole Man. He allows the evacuation of New York into the vast underground tunnels of Subterranea, while the four prepare the trap on the surface. When the city stands silent, Galactus arrives. The ground trembles beneath him. He sees Franklin and moves toward him, but Johnny strikes first, hitting Galactus in the eyes and drawing his attention away. In the confusion, Franklin is switched with an empty carrier. For a moment, the plan seems to work, but Galactus senses the child's presence inside the Baxter building. He turns and crashes through the structure to reach him. Chaos follows. Reed stretches into the sky, trying to disable Galactus's systems. In response, Galactus grabs hold and tries to tear him apart. Then he reaches for Franklin. Sue steps in and raises a massive force field. She holds it for as long as she can, but Galactus pushes back with more force than she can contain. The others rush to help. Working together, they hold the line long enough for Reed to reach Franklin and pull him to safety. With everything on the line, Sue drives Galactus toward the portal. He resists. Johnny prepares for the worst, planning to sacrifice himself if it means ending this. Just before he makes the move, Shalabal returns. She saves him, then grabs Galactus and throws both of them into the void. The portal closes behind them. Reed, Johnny, and Ben find Sue collapsed. Reed tries everything to bring her back, but nothing works. Franklin, crying, is placed on her chest. A few seconds pass. Then, her eyes open. She's alive. She looks at Reed and says that their son is already more extraordinary than they ever imagined. In the days that follow, people return to the city. The Fantastic Four are welcomed back as heroes. An invitation arrives from the Ted Gilbert Show, but before they can accept, another emergency comes through. They rush to the Fantasticar, struggling to strap Franklin into his car seat. Once secured, they take off, now operating as 5. 4 years later, Sue reads a bedtime story to a playful Franklin. She leaves the room for only a moment. When she returns, a cloaked figure stands beside the child, holding a cold metal mask. Dr. Doom has arrived. Elsewhere, a cheerful intro for a Fantastic Four cartoon plays on a TV screen.